Hi, y'all. I decided to make a part two to this audio that I did last night concerning the R. Kelly matter and the programming on Lifetime Surviving R. Kelly. Someone indicated this morning to me that one of R. Kelly's brothers had shared that it was their 16-year-old sister that had abused him. I'm not sure if she meant him, the brother, or him, R. Kelly. And also that it was mentioned by R. Kelly, according to this commenter that came on my YouTube channel, that it was an aunt that had abused him. So it seems like sexual abuse could be in the family line for whatever the reasons are. And also, I was wondering where the sister was in the Lifetime documentary. Now, that answers that question. If she was one of the abusers, which is likely true, then that would explain why she didn't want to go on the documentary to be interviewed. Also, where is R. Kelly's daddy? Now, it was shared that he left the family, and I'm not sure how young the children were when he vacated. Now, could it be possible that he abused the daughter, and that may be one of the reasons why he vacated? He was asked to leave because of that propensity. I'm just speculating. Of course, I don't know, but it sure would have been good if the people on the Lifetime documentary had interviewed the father. Now, whether they attempted to or not, I'm not sure. What they could have said was we reached out to his father and he declined to comment. That would have been a good place to indicate that in regard to the documentary. I'm not even sure if the man is still alive. I Googled to find out about his father, and there's nothing online that says his current whereabouts, whether he's living or deceased. But I think he has a role in the dynamic of what occurred. That's just my reasonable guess. Now, as far as I didn't see the video that was done with R. Kelly and this underage young girl. However, I understand that he pissed on her and different things that were sexually deviant. Now, my take on that is a lot of what R. Kelly did with his sexual activities, he likely learned that or experienced that during those 7 years of being sexually abused by assaulted family members. They ain't no telling what they did to that boy. They could have threatened him. They could have withheld things from him. They could have had him at orgies. Shit, they probably pissed on him. Maybe that's where he got that behavior from. So there is no doubt in my mind that all those 7 years, now again, we're talking 7 years. We're not talking about an occasional abuse over a small amount of time. We're talking 7 years. That's a lifetime for some damn children, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, just keep it moving. But you get the drift. So again, we don't know what kind of stress they held over that boy and what they had him doing. The imagination soars as to the whole entire 7 year prolonged period, the vast amount of things that he was exposed to by these assorted relatives. So I am saying here that based on that, it is my firm belief that they destroyed aspects of that man's humanity. They destroyed aspects of his mentality. They destroyed aspects of his spirituality. So again, I am not excusing his conduct, but I damn sure believe that those results and those adults that did what they did to him are highly responsible for the way he manifested his demeanor, his conduct, his deviancy, his repulsive conduct, and so forth. That was learned behavior from when he was a child. Now, also, and he has to take some responsibility as a grown man as well. But then he also preyed on the underage girls because, of course, he found them to be the most vulnerable. That's my likely belief. My likely reasonable belief, I should say. And they were influenced and enticed by what he offered them and what he gave them, and being, exposed to fame and his performances and his videos and having quote unquote access to his quote unquote inner circle. So again, as a grown man, he had no business doing what he did, and it was no question, illegal. And I'm not sure about all the allegations and so forth, and how many were underage as far as the ones being abused. His wife, understand, was of age when she went through the ordeal with him and the abuses and the mental anguish and so forth and so on, and the brainwashing. So it doesn't just limit itself to the underage girls. But again, we have to remember that a lot of what occurred with him started with the childhood abuse. And also, some of these adults who discussed when they were abused as children, they admitted that the sensations sexually were pleasurable. And some of them had an inkling or an awareness that what was going on was not correct for an adult to do to a child. But they still admitted, some of them, that they felt sexually pleased, and they had measures of, it just doesn't sound maybe sensible to some folks, but they had levels of enjoyment from the sensations that derive from being sexually stimulated. So, and some of them probably had orgasms and so forth. So they wrestled with the fact that they were abused, but then there were parts of them that enjoyed it. So that's a whole mental dynamic and a spiritual dynamic that I cannot wrap my head around because I didn't experience it. But truly, unless you've been abused, and again, the abuse for him was 7 years long, that is a prolonged period of time to have to endure such traumatic activity. So I would wish that Lifetime would reach out to the underage women, well, they were underage then, the women now who were victimized when they were underage. Maybe Lifetime can reach out to them and offer some professional counseling, and also some professional counseling to R. Kelly. And I'm not sure if he ever had it. And then growing up poor in the projects, that was another dynamic in the mix. And again, all poor people, all shy people, all abused people, all people who had family betrayals do not succumb to the temptation to become molesters and abusers themselves. But I have read, as I mentioned on the first video, over the years that many who are molested as children grow up and become adult abusers. And I would venture to say some of them did not receive professional counseling, and some of them likely did, and still could not resist the temptation to engage in what probably became addictive behavior, because some of them, I mentioned my friend who said that he was abused as a child, and as a result, he has a high level of sexual desire. And he mentioned his ex-wife also had been abused as a child by her uncle, and she had a high level, probably more so than the average person, of desiring sexual activity. And he said that she was damn good when it came to their sexual uh, engagements. So there's a tie-in to the adult conduct that comes from what happened to them as children. There's no denying that some of their mental faculties were affected adversely as a result, and that should not be ignored, nor should the conduct of the grown people who are molesting be excused or, wiped away. But again, that is in the equation, and people need to take that into account when they, harshly judge and call R. Kelly monsters and attack him for his conduct. And you look at all that suggestiveness that was going on sexually in his live performances, in his videos. I mean, the humping and the body thrusting and the, pelvic thrust, all that stuff, I believe began when he was violated and victimized himself as a child. A lot of that is learned behavior. He got some of those sexual antics and those sexual adventurous movements from what was done to him as a child. So people need to recognize that, yes, he is accountable, yes, he's responsible, but again, you cannot ignore the implications of what transpired with him as a child. And I wish somebody to find his daddy. I'd like to know his daddy's damn story, and maybe somebody can get his sister to talk. Why did she abuse? Was she abused? That stuff goes back in the family lineage. What is going on with with the family dynamic in regard to that situation. So I just want to put some more information out there to be considered from a standpoint of fairness and the truth of the realities and so forth and so on. So thank y'all for listening.